So this is the starting area for the map. It's basically like a small safe area for the player to develop some of their manual skills, just figuring out how the controls work and what they can do. Anyway, so this layout is basically built so this corner of the map will reveal itself first. Also, this part of the map is sort of closed off just to close off the open view. Like if it was wide open into open sky, it would be very clear where to go. So I basically want to delay this reaction as much as possible to let the player notice the rope and the blood trail on the ground here. At this point, the player cannot proceed unless they learn that they can break bushes. So when they break this bush, it becomes a known for them that they can break bushes. They follow this blood trail on the corner. So because of the proximity of these bushes to the wall and the blood trail, they're meant to extrapolate on what they just learned with the bush, that it's a known that they can break bushes. They're meant to extrapolate on this into like a known unknown that maybe I can break certain walls as well. So they break the bushes, they try to break the wall, they reveal potentially the first enemy type and a secret area. So here they learn that they need to use treasure keys to open certain treasure chests. They also get the end of the story of this blood trail. They find a dead wizard in the corner here just to end that story. They also learn that they can eat berries from certain bushes. As they turn around, they can see some spider webs. And again, they're meant to take what they learned with the bushes. It's a known that they can break bushes. They're extrapolating on this into a known unknown. If I can break bushes, maybe I can also break these spider webs. So the player tries to break the spider web. It's possible. They get some small environmental storytelling here with a bunch of bones and some flies rotting. It's basically meant to just signal to the player that you're about to enter like a bit of a challenging area. It's a small challenge. If they commit to it, they can break this second spider web. And as they peek around the corner, they can see a spider, and maybe they saw the pistol in the back there and took a small pickup just to motivate them killing this spider just to get it. It's a bit of a more difficult enemy. They have some more bushes here that they can eat from. Again, just to learn that they can eat bushes and replenish some of the health. And here they pick up the first weapon. Moving up here, these fences are protruding out into the environment here. It's meant to just be a bit of a stopper, and using the lines and the direction of where they're coming from, the player is meant to look into the left here and seeing the waterfall. And some players might attempt to walk up into the secret area here. For those who do, they have to walk a bit into the darkness here. In this part of the map, I'm sort of giving them a bit of armor shards because in the next section there's a bit of a challenging fight for new players. Because I want this next part of the map to be a bit more forgiving in terms of how much health they can lose. Behind this corner there's like a small sprinting path. The player needs to like choose if they want to commit to that sprint and charge that enemy head on, or they can retreat around the corner again. But behind this first enemy, there's actually an arrow shooting enemy as well. So if they come back here and they choose to commit, immediately there's an enemy there that shoots an arrow. And there's also another enemy there. So this column layout is just to give them a lot of corners and a lot of peeking angles to approach this next enemy. Because this is a shooting enemy type. And it also has another trick up its sleeves where it can teleport. Like that, and now it just disappears for a while and it can reappear wherever. And yeah, bit of a challenging enemy, but it's sort of like needs to be there because the next item that you can pick up further up this path is a bit powerful, so the challenge just needs to be there. They can move up here and they will find a crossbow. So the text is there basically to give the player a little bit of a clue that they can actually use this crossbow from very far away and shoot banshees. And if they look at the distance, there is actually a banshee enemy floating in the air as well. So right here, the player can learn they can actually already use this crossbow to shoot the enemy. And they also have some vantage points here. They can see a pathway. They can see a sunken. So if the player did not find the switch for this door already, at this point they're about to exit and go back to where they were. So at this point they get a bit more desperate and try to find ways of opening that. This wall is a bit differently textured. They can break this wall, which again, it sort of builds on top of what they learned previously with the blood trail wall, and the bushes, that they can break it. Up in the corner here, there's like a small house. I'm keeping this very simple to discover. Just up the ladder, find some armor shards. Many players probably just turn around and think that's it. But players who are a bit more used to the genre of games, there's often a lot of secrets you can find. So this wall is push wall, you can push it. And you can find a treasure key. They can walk back here and they can pick up some very basic items. Alright, so now we can continue on. This landscape has like a protruding mountain area here. This is just to make that area a bit less interesting, to allow the eyes to more easily just go to the left and look at the castle parts. Also, they can come here and they can notice the door here, so they need to find a bronze key. Around this corner, they encounter a new enemy type. Around there, this area, the enemy or the player sees this zombie type. Before proceeding, there's also another wave of zombies coming up, so they get a chance to really learn how the enemy works for later in the level, so I can be a bit more restrictive and less forgiving with how much health and armor shards I give them. So let's say they lose a lot of health. I've hidden like a small chest here with some health potions. Also, I put the bush here because I want to increase the chances of them stopping and looking to the left. It probably will not work for most of the players, but... And then as they break these bushes, they are sort of turned to the front, they hear a sound to the left, and then there's a new enemy type approaching them. Sort of cornering them here. They don't have a... They can't walk left or right, or they cannot walk backwards as well. So they sort of have to face this enemy head on just to learn how it works. But they come here, they find a bronze key. So I tried to make this secret very obvious, just by having the texture to be quite a bit different. So they come out here, put some bushes here just to slow them down a bit so they can read the dialogue. Also, if they stand over here, they can also see another secret area. And they also get a slight view into the next part of the map. They can see some pickups and the big mast there. So if they actually entered the waterfall earlier, they also saw the mast. They can actually orient themselves on a map. So the player walks back here, open the door, and here's an autosave point. If they didn't pick up the crossbow, they might actually be able to see it from here. It will be hovering over here. Again, picking up some armor shards and getting some health back. They can pick up the orb. They sort of get an opportunity to locate themselves in a map where they are relative to where they have been before. As they walk over the bridge here, there's also an opportunity to catch this point of the map. Again, some players will not see it, some will. Start marching to the left here. They will find another secret area. So this enemy sort of forces the player back. They found some health here just to replenish their health, because they probably lost some health to that ogre in the first time around. So the fog distance is big enough for them to sort of maybe spot that barrel over here. You know, light this thing on fire just to experiment and see if it works. And here they encounter another enemy. Also a tough enemy. So because this enemy is a bit more harder and it's a new enemy type, I'm a bit more forgiving here with giving the player more health potions. So at this point of the map, I want to train the player to learn that these hanging wizards might have loot on them, so they might loot them like that. You can also punch them to remove them, and they also will drop the loot that way. And this is something I want them to learn for the upcoming battle. To go down the hatch, if they look up to the roof here, they can spot these mages. So if they actually learned that the mages can have loot on them and they don't have another floor. So here is the first very obvious switch. There's like a switch mechanic here. If you find 3 of them, you open another secret and level. So this is a very obviously placed location for that switch. Alright, also the wall here is also to expose the switch here. So if they didn't see the switch in the first time around, they can come up here and they can actually see the switch now through this broken wall. 3 monsters, 3 emblems on the wall. And here in the corner here, there's another switch, which is, it's very hard to see it actually. So this is something that players much more likely to spot when they potentially backtrack to find more secrets. So this area is pretty wide open, and I made a pretty symmetrical layout here in the beginning, and also I opened up a huge crack in the roof here. It's basically just to lead the player into the room. Also added some gaps here on the wall. Here on the right side you can see some pickups and some vegetations, and also on the right side here there's also a small gap in the roof here to sort of help exposing this area of the map, this wall here and this altar, which is a way of progressing through the castle here, but it's currently locked and the player is instructed to find Golden Skull. So the enemies here, it's just to give the player a little bit of a challenge. Now it's a bit easy because I have a lot of weapons. However, again, not every player will have all these weapons at their disposal because they will not be able to find all the secrets so easily. Say the King Imposter, this is the, I'll say, a bit of a passive entity. After the player kills the pig, this door's open, they can progress. There's some pickups here. I'm basically putting some pickups here because in a moment there's going to be some fires, and I want them to be a bit forgiving, that they can burn themselves on the fire and it won't be a huge deal. So again, here's some pickups, basically just to boost up their defenses a little bit. Just picking up stuff just feels good in the game, so it's sort of a filler thing as well. And here is a lantern, so when if the player happens to fight the skeleton right there, they can also learn that you can also break those lanterns. Around the corner here is a small surprise. So if the player until now hasn't learned yet that they can actually cross certain water surfaces, like this bright blue shaded water, they are sort of forced into learning it at this point. And so when they learn this, they can also think back to the previous parts of the game, for instance by the waterfall, if they can enter the waterfall, or they can think about the pathway to the boat, sunken boat in the cove. And here the player is led into like a dead end, and there's not much to do here, and I'm sort of putting them into like a desperate situation where they get a message that they're close to something but they cannot progress any further. So I'm sort of pushing them into the action of trying to enter this waterfall. And this again also is meant to expand their understanding of possibilities of the map, so they need to think back to the start of the level where they saw a waterfall. So they just learned that they can walk over shallow water, and they also now are forced to learn that they are sometimes able to enter waterfalls. And since they picked up the skull, I now spawn some new enemies into the environment. Also up here, the ladder, I've put a zombie here. And I can also look down here to see the altar where they need to go next, and also there's some new enemies waiting for them there. And here's another encounter with a new enemy. So this enemy charges, so this is a pretty good emplacement to introduce this new enemy type. Because it's a small room, it gives the player a little bit of wiggle room to dodge the charge attack. And here I put this enemy visible here. It's meant to just distract the player from the zombie, which is on the left here. And so the player places the skull on the altar here. But I will flip this switch as well. This is the last switch, and the message is something encountered in the graveyard. And I can come up here and I can actually look down here to see what changed in the graveyard. You also get another chance to see the fire rings here when they come back, when they backtrack. They can also see it from here. Just to break some bushes here, just to have something to do. They encounter a well, they can replenish some of their health. This is a bit of a very secret area, so I give them a lot of ammo just as like sort of like a reward, have some fun scenario, at least for this last part of the map. So in order for the player not to walk all the way back, there's like a teleporter here which they must take. They cannot exit this area without entering this portal. So I come back to this area. Alright, so we are about to enter the last area of this map. It's like a bigger fight. They got a little bit of health back, not a lot of ammo, because I want them to pick up ammo in the next room. So as I enter here, There's a fight happening at once. A little bit of a narrow arena, but not too narrow. They are sort of encouraged to just pick up the pickups here. There's some hidden enemies here as well. So yeah, it's not a very easy fight, as you can see. So they just need to keep moving, pick up the pickups. Maybe they die a couple of times, but eventually they will learn that in the back of the room there are some health pickups. There's also some armor shards up there. There's also, yeah, some health pickups. There's also another treasure chest here. So when this enemy dies, there's some other enemies spawning in. I'll be able to tell. There. So when you kill all enemies, you can actually proceed. The gate opens. You can walk down into the crypt. There's a secret. The same secret area is also visible on the side here, on the left. Proceeding down, again, just a small fight coming up. Just in case they are very low, I just give them some health here. Just a little bit of relief. And then this is the ending of the level. You just kill the Pirate King. And eventually this door will open. And you will pick up some health and some ammo for your weapons until the next level starts.